After watching episodes of the Senate and Quadcom hearings, the word that echoed and stuck in my mind was chair. As I kept on hearing, yes, Madam Chair, and yes, Mr. Chair, so that one day I woke up greeting the empty chair beside my bed, good morning, Mr. Chair, and confused with the grammatical gender for the chair, I quipped, good morning too, Madam Chair. With that, even if there's no specific mention of the word chair in this Sunday's Gospel, I decided to touch it as a metaphor implied in the request of James and John to be seated beside Jesus. We often see the chair as a symbol of power in offices, meetings, or even at home. A simple example is who sits in the best seat, at a dining table, or in gatherings. It is often associated with leader or person in authority. Indeed, we live in a world where chairs represent power, authority, and position. From thrones of kings to seats of CEOs, chairs often symbolize who is in charge and who holds influence. Exploring some seats or chairs in the time of Jesus, we find Herod's throne of power, the judgment seat of Pilate, the seat of the high priest's authority, as well as the ambitious seats sought by James and John. All these tell us about the human desire for control, influence, and recognition. Yet amidst all this, Jesus speaks of a cup that changes everything, a cup that challenges our understanding of true authority and greatness. I invite you to look at the crucial moment from the Gospel of Mark, when James and John asked for seats at Jesus' right and left in glory. Jesus responded with the question, can you drink of the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? This cup is not just a symbol of suffering, but the path of self-emptying love. It is a call to service over status, sacrifice over self-preservation, and humility over human ambition. Jesus shows us that the way to the kingdom is not through occupying seats of power, but through drinking the cup of his passion and sacrificial love. Herod's throne represents worldly power, clinging to control and security, willing to do whatever it takes to maintain his position. But the cup of Jesus challenges this. It asks us to surrender control, to let go of our fears, and to embrace the vulnerability that comes with loving others selflessly. Herod sought to eliminate a threat in the infant Jesus. He could not imagine a kingdom built on love rather than fear. The cup reminds us that real authority comes not from dominating others, but from laying down our lives for them. The seat of Caiaphas, the high priest, is a seat of judgment and religious authority. It became a place of condemnation where leaders of the temple sought to preserve their traditions at the cost of recognizing the Messiah. But the cup of Jesus offers challenges this authority. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." The cup represents obedience to the Father's will, the choice to embrace suffering out of love for humanity. It calls us to mercy over judgment, to seek God's will rather than our own agendas. Unlike Caiaphas, who sought to protect his position, Jesus drank the cup of self-sacrifice, offering mercy to even those who condemned him. Pilate's seat is a place of compromise. Though he had the authority to release Jesus, he chose the easier path, washing his hands of the decision. Pilate's chair symbolizes the temptation to avoid difficult truths for the sake of comfort. But the cup of Jesus challenges us to a different kind of courage. It calls us to face the difficult truths of our lives, to speak up for justice even when it is unpopular or risky. While Pilate washed his hands, trying to distance himself from the responsibility, Jesus accepted the cup, fully embracing the path that led to the cross. The cup is a reminder that true strength is not found in maintaining power or avoiding consequences, but in standing firm in love, even in the face of suffering. When James and John sought the seats of Jesus' side, they imagined a glorious kingdom where they would share in Jesus' power. But Jesus redirected their ambition with the image of the cup, showing them that following him is not about earthly glory, but about sharing in his mission of sacrificial love. The cup is a challenge to our own desire for recognition and status. It invites us to see greatness not as the world sees it, but as God sees it, measured in service, humility, and the willingness to pour out our lives for others. This reminded me of Mary, the sister of Martha, who chose to sit at the feet of Jesus, listening to his words. This seat of discipleship is also a way of embracing the cup. It is a choice to be present with Christ, to drink deeply of his teachings, and to share in his sufferings and joys. Mary's seat was a place of intimacy and surrender. She recognized that the way to true fulfillment is through closeness to Jesus, and said, "Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken away from her." The seats of this world are temporary. Power, prestige, and status fade. But the seat of humility at the feet of Jesus is eternal. It is there that we find lasting peace and joy. The cup she drank was a cup of trust and submission, choosing the better part by being open to the presence of God in her life. All the seats and chairs, Herod's throne, Pilate's judgment seat, the high priest's place of authority, and the disciples' ambitions are ultimately challenged by the cup of Christ. For when Jesus drank the cup of suffering on the cross, he turned the world's values upside down. The cup of suffering became the cup of redemption, turning defeat into victory, death into life, and the cross into the ultimate seat of God's love for humanity. This cup invites us to a deeper understanding of what it means to follow Jesus. It asks us, are we willing to lay down our own claims to power, to sit at the feet of Jesus, and to drink the cup of self-giving love? As we continue to reflect on the seats of power, judgment, and ambition, let us remember the cup that Jesus offers to each of us. This cup calls us to love deeply, to serve humbly, and to embrace the path of the cross. May our choice, I pray, be no longer the seats of status and control, but the cup of Christ, the path that leads us to true life and communion with God. In doing so, may we find ourselves not seeking positions of honor, but seated in the presence of the one who loved us to the very end.